I basically have to make this comment because I've always wondered about this gun thing. I've always lived near or in the city, and never felt I needed to protect myself with a gun. So I really do feel, I think it's unfortunate that people have live with so much fear that they would think that they actually needed something like this to protect themselves. I think that's a really sad statement about our state. I think it's a really sad statement about any state where people actually think that they need this kind of protection from other human beings, that they would not feel comfortable unless they had this language. But what I can say is that I know a lot of people are going to feel extremely uncomfortable if this language should pass, because they will be in fear. They will be living in fear. My father was a mail carrier. I can imagine he had enough trouble with dogs, and some people who didn't want to get certain bills, and they'd scream and holler at the postman when he came by. I think about them and the fact that they have to oftentimes walk onto a porch and put the mail in the inner little box that's on the wall. I think there are people that are, and I've worked a lot in mental health, I think there are a lot of people that are on the verge. They may have a permit. They may be perfectly legal to carry at the time they get the permit, but now they don't have to, they can have it for as long as 5 years without renewing it. So that's a little bit of a problem. I'm also thinking about protection in domestic dispute cases. My brother-in-law is a police officer and police detective, and he said the domestic disputes were the worst that you ever had to go on, and people were, of course, on the edge. Oftentimes when they were in the middle of a dispute, whether or not it got physical or not. So I'm concerned that somebody during a domestic dispute may think the officer coming to the door is there to threaten their life. I'm also concerned about child endangerment for those folks that don't know how to treat their kids, or for those folks that have a social worker or somebody coming to the door because of problems with their behavior towards their children, and they feel threatened because their children might be taken away for sometimes justifiable reasons. I'm concerned about the language, didn't hear the way it sits, that you can be in a townhouse association or an apartment or a tent on state land, or a tent at some campground or something like that, and feel threatened and be able to shoot somebody else in the campground. I'm not sure what that'll do to tourism, but I think I'd be a little bit concerned about taking a tent out to the woods somewhere and having somebody drinking in a tent next to me, and boats. You can shoot from boats if you feel threatened, or cars, or airplanes, or whatever. This is really an extensive thing, with the only thing holding back is the only thing preventing it from being called a murder is basically what the person, if the person feels threatened or feels that the person was doing something unlawful. So it's a really a feeling kind of thing. I think the NRA wants to sell an awful lot of guns, and I don't know how many will be enough. I don't think there will ever be enough. I think also that the NRA, I know that they're promoting this, and they're also promoting an awful lot of fear. But the other thing is they promote an awful lot of false perceptions and outright, how should I say this? Outright lies. In my last campaign, they distributed a piece that said that I was against hunting and fishing. I've never been against hunting and fishing, and I fish myself. I don't hunt, but I do fish. They said that I was part of some big anti-hunting group from New Mexico. First of all, there wasn't any such place when I checked on it. And so if you don't agree with them, they come after you, and they're not at all afraid of making things up to get what they want. So I have a real problem with that. But I am concerned, probably first and foremost, about our police force and the safety of our citizens. And if the police will be able to do their jobs, how will the police be able to do their jobs? There's enough fear on the job, and so many people here on this particular committee have talked consistently about supporting our police, and here I see something that they're doing that could be the most dangerous thing that a police officer has to deal with. So I feel it's inconsistent with the other remarks that have been made by people on this committee about our police force. So folks, I think this is probably one of the worst ideas I've seen around here in the past 25 years that I've been around this process in one way or another. And I'm just really surprised that there would be this much fear that people would think that they couldn't live without this. And I don't know what to say except that you know, how do you get by these kind of fears when people are building them up just to sell a product or different products or whatever? And I think that's a shame. That's not the state I was born in and grew up with, that we would think this was, the Wild West was the way to go. So.